Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And I'm Ethan again.
And we're here to bring you another Warmachine battle report. And this time we've got, I'm dropping Vlad and Warriors of the Old Faith. And what are you playing, Ethan?
I'm playing MacBain in Llaelese Resistance.
All right, let's get into those lists.
So like I said, I'm playing Drake MacBain. And his battle group is just a Blockader with Sylys. And then I got Billy Eilish, 2 Menite Archons, Anastasia, Gorman, a Tinkerer. That way that gets me Malvin and Mayhem.
Your unmarshaled Warjack.
I know, until they fix it. Some of the times it seems to work. Sometimes it does not. 2 Thorn Gun Mage units, Max Squire for once, and then Daughters. The Max Squire is because I had 2 points left, and I figured I didn't want another Tinkerer because I have enough solos, and whenever I play a Min Squire, they usually just die.
Yeah, you need they either die or they just like you can't spread them out. You need one Jack to make Minquire work.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have Gibbs, so they don't get repo right now. So I figured they won't be able to repo to safety. So 6 is just safe.
Yep. So for my list, I don't need to go too much into what it plays like or what it's got because I have a whole video on Warriors of the Old Faith that goes over this specific list, and it's gonna be this is gonna be like a really like ugly game in general, just because like the army couldn't get painted before, or at least couldn't get some paint on it before I started, because like I was working on a conversion for the Exemplar Vengers, and I was using my Dremel to like grind off all the Menoth fixes because I removed them with extreme prejudice. And I just like the Dremel tool that I was using slipped and just like spun around my entire finger and like cored it out, and my nail was like all dug out. It was like someone put a trencher blockhouse on the middle of my thumb. So like that stopped all painting and all conversions. So you just get my beautiful bear army.
Which mine's bear too. So
I know,
you know
we're hodgepodging a bunch of stuff together.
You're usually held to a higher standard though. Because you actually paint your stuff and I don't.
I only do it because it's fun for me, but I don't expect everyone to.
So I won the roll to go first after we tied, but I had Anastasia, and then you got a re-roll, but I still won.
Yeah, I rolled a 4 and then got down to a 2, so it didn't work for me.
Yep. So I opted to go first because I knew with Dash, all of his stuff is like speed 9, speed 10, so that's not good. So MacBain went up. He put up Failsafe on Malvin and Mayhem, Fortune on the Blockader, and then Countermeasure on the Daughters, and charged because he charged into the rubble, which I cutely had my objective in, so it'd be def 9 against shooting, where Gorman deployed.
Hey man, with that inaccurate shots.
I know. He does not have Pathfinder, that's why he had the charge to get all the way in. He barely got in because he hit the back of it, and then he had an inch and a half to go. And there, I ran up. I had the proxy, my Menite Archons, or the Thamrites as Menites, because I haven't bought them yet, because this is the only list I run to. So like I'm still on the fence about if I want to invest in this list all the way.
Yeah, it's easier for me because I've got Warriors of the Old Faith and Mercenary stuff. So like my Archons of the Old Faith are perfectly fine. But I wanted to use them for this list, so you couldn't have them.
Yeah, that's fair. Because normally when I play Mercs, I play Thamrites and Morrowinds, so
yeah,
that automatically means I usually
and they
play
broadcast
Ragman.
To so many themes too.
Yep. Whereas the Menites are only in Llaelese Resistance, and then you can't take Ragman, can't take the Morrowind, you can't take all the Thamrite stuff.
Just gotta play out a theme.
Yeah. Hey, somebody almost tried to tell me to do that so I could take Voids, and so I could run 6 Archons.
Yeah, it's got some merit, maybe.
No.
Maybe?
No. So everything's just running up, staying outside 21. I cutely ran a countermeasure Daughter behind the cloud. So if the Judicator wanted to walk and shoot, it would have to stay farther back than it normally even could. And then Choir just spaced out to put Shield, because we're going to have a Menoth on Menoth off of Shield versus Shield all game. Melvin did +2 speed and flight and just ran 14 inches, because that's what he does turn 1. And then my Thorn Gun Mages are just running up to be annoying over there in that forest where my Menite is following them. Because actually with Menite Archons, the Thorn Gun Mages, when they both barrels, a fire shot gets up to POW 16.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh.
So, like, normally Thorn Gun Mages are kind of Like, I'd run them just because they're cute. But with Menite Archons, it's where they start to shine.
So for my turn 1, I think I'm him and haw a little bit. Like, essentially, I get the upkeeps out Infernal Machine on the Judicator that looks like a Conquest or a Victor, depending on who you talk to. And
it's a Khadorian Judicator.
Well, okay, we're gonna do this now. So, like, you know what I'm gonna do this turn. I'm gonna put out my upkeeps. I'm gonna run my guys into place where they're just out of threat. Every Warmachine turn in the history of forever. So my whole gist with this army is I absolutely cannot stand the aesthetic of Menoth models. Like, I have my Judicator, which has his, like, Menoth Archons ground down, and I sculpted some infernal symbols on instead, and that is just barely acceptable for me because that Judicator is still the ugliest 120 in the universe. Like, I'll take a Stormstrider over that thing, and those are pretty butt ugly.
Yeah, but that's a floating orb at least. Like, the Judicator is just a walking church.
It is, and it's got those big pipes. Like, it really just reminds me of, like, some churchy redneck decided to bolt some diesel pipes on the top of his Ford. But, like, anyway, my thing for all of the old faith stuff is that I'm erasing all the Menoth aesthetic from it. So, like, my Judicator has the 2 missiles that are tied to the systems inside. So, like, you can't confuse it with a Victor because the Victor's weapon is mounted in the center and covers the whole width of his front half of the base. I've got 2 missiles, which is thematic with the scattering twice thing. And then I've got flamers where the nipple guns are, and they are 40k flamers, but it's got a pilot light in front of it. So, like, I wouldn't say stirred up a bunch of controversy, because all you have to do to get people stirred up about a converted model is just, like, throw a picture up, and then it'll just happen automatically.
It's not steamroller legal.
I know that, and the thing is Privateer Press kind of, like, does themselves a disservice with the conversion policy because they give you strict guidelines first, which mine meets. I have the weapons represented. Boom. But then there's that other, like, thing in there where it's like it's up to the TO's discretion, and if the TO's, like, overall mindset doesn't match the person who's making the conversion, then of course they're going to be back and forth on whether this is something legal or not. At the end of the day, I'm still going to bring this thing to Steamrollers, and if my opponent's cool playing against it, then that's fine. If the TO wants to boot me because I want to put this on the table instead of a stupid Judicator, I have another one in my bag if they want to, like, pitch a fit over it. But for the most part, I like the aesthetic that this brings, and even my Vengers don't look like Vengers, but they have all the weapons and the bodies. So this isn't me just, like, doing some kind of neckbeardy rant. Like, I do think that conversions are something that really are not present in Warmachine, so when they come up, it's always really exciting. But it's unfortunate that as a community, the first response is to just bash down on it and say, this is not Steamroller legal. Like, I don't care. If you want to not allow this in your event, that's fine, whatever. Like I said, I'll bring a Judicator, but, like, this looks cool, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who says it doesn't look cool. I guess there at least will maybe be 2. I shouldn't say hard pressed, because that's what I said about the TOs, and that went to shit.
And, like, it just fits your Warrior of the Old Faith conversion. I know we talked about, like, doing a slide thing of all your conversions, because, like you said, your Vengers are all converted to look like Khador, your Choir are all converted to be Warriors of the Old Khador. Like, it fits the aesthetic of your army. If you were, like, a Menoth player and you put that on the table and you're like, this is my Judicator with Harby, then, like, that'd be a little iffy. But exactly. Like, it fits the theme of your army.
It does. So rant and turn over.
Perfect timing.
Now we can get to the Warmachine business. The game can begin on turn 2.
I want to rant. So it's turn 2 for MacBain. I'm upkeeping all my spells. Luckily, Sylys lets me upkeep 1 for free because, like, I need it. I end up allocating 2 to the Blockader because I think I'm going to do some sweet sprays over on that side, I think, eventually.
Oh, side note, of course, my Judicator was shielded.
Yep. So we're just going to have a shield off all game.
Yep.
But turn 2, top of 2 is typically where I think like MacBain wants to feat. And I think I put a lot of thought into this turn because like you have the Menite Archons. And this is the part where I'm actually looking up countermeasure rules to see if I can be out of formation and still have countermeasures up.
Yeah.
So I end up finding with out of formation rules that most upkeeps have a stipulation about having to be in formation. Countermeasures does not. So my plan logic here is like he's got a Menite Archon right next to his Judicator. So like, what if I run my daughter that's there out of formation behind it or off like to the bottom left of it? That way, like if he wants to walk and shoot, he's got to get really dangerously close to me because I'm thinking about feeding. But he's got the Menite, so he's got Thresher Grievous. But if he Threshers, then he can't use the Dispel weapon to get rid of countermeasures. So like I'm trying to go over that in my head on both sides. Because normally I like to feat with MacBain and kind of spread it out. That way I can slow down scoring on both zones and the flags. But I think once I see that Judicator's down there, I think I'm going to end up feeding heavily on the bottom. Just to try and leverage and force him to make options that you don't want to do.
Yeah, the Judicator is a lot of points in this army, and the output of it wouldn't say it relies on him, but he's a really big part of it. Between Infernal Machine and Hand of Fate, the Judicator needs to be able to shoot or punch and make sure that it gets done what it needs to get done. Like, I don't have a lot of pieces that can untie him if he's jammed up either, so getting countermeasures near him is just not a good thing.
Because that's usually the MacBain plan. You feat with your countermeasures unit. When daughters are speed 7 with stealth, parry, and acrobatics, so like they can dig deep on feet. And then there I'm measuring out his Menite Archon's threat is 12 because of dash.
I figure if we put these widgets any closer, we're gonna end up summoning like a geometrist.
Oh god.
Is that a real thing? Can you be a geometrist?
Maybe.
That's weird.
You can probably get a doctorate in it.
Maybe, yeah.
So there I'm feeding. I roll a 6.
Yeah, that really hurt.
Oh,
that hurt.
Normally
so
I
bad.
roll a 1. And like I start allocating it, and Brian's nice enough to let me. I think I end up moving MacBain forward.
Yeah, you tried to
move.
Yeah, you tried to feat first, and I was like, whatever. There's no reason to do that. So,
yeah. And my objective is Pathfinder, which I gave to MacBain. That way he can stumble around through the rubble.
Yep.
Because like that's the downside of the rubble. MacBain doesn't have Pathfinder. There I see like, oh, oops, I forgot to move. And then Brian's nice enough to let me move up behind the wall in the rubble, and I still catch pretty much everything on the left side.
Yeah, I think there's like a gun mage or two that you missed, but that's about it.
So I have 11 tokens, so I default both Archons. Bam. My 6 daughters, so there's 8. I do Gorman, that's up behind the woods. So there's 9. I do 1 gun mage on the bottom, and then I do the Gobber Tinkerer that's hiding underneath the Blockader for my 11. I think that math adds up. 8, 9, 10, up 11. Originally, I put the little token next to 2 of the gun mages, but I couldn't see the Tinkerer under the Blockader arm.
Yeah.
So Brian was nice enough to let me put it on him. So my Archon charges just does a swing, POW 15, with Divine Inspiration just kills.
Yep. So over here, I was thinking like, I don't mind giving you 1 Venger because then I'll get battle driven and that'll be cool. But what I hadn't considered was Spraytown. So like it's unfortunate positioning for those guys, but losing 1 doesn't matter to me so much.
Mm-hmm. And then now the Thorn Gun Mages are going up. 2 of them get set on fire. I'm doing both barrels fire shots, so it's POW 16s.
Yep.
And that's where like I crank it and kill 1. Like this is going well. Then the second one is in range of him.
I think this was the one that wasn't within 5, so you end up... I think you still kill him, but... Maybe.
Because that back one, the farthest one out is, and yeah, I shot the one that was within 5. So, like, Thorn Gun Mages actually do work with that. So
no, there's a lot of synergy in that.
Yep. And then same with the Blockader. With Battle and Fuel for the Flames, the Blockader gets up to POW 18 sprays.
You become like a better Malachus.
Yeah, it's super fun. And then there, my Goober runs around to get on my flag. So now, like, originally I allocated 2 to the Blockader because I thought I was going to have to spray dudes. And so now he's just sitting there with 3 focus, and I'm like, what do I do with him? So now I just jump to the other side. I have a Thorn Gun Mage go up Originally, my plan was to try and put some Thunderbolt shots into his dudes, and then I asked, like, are you steady? And then it turns out they are.
Yeah, the Ulans and Vengers have so many different rules, which is one of the big reasons why I like taking both of them in a list, because they do different things kind of in a similar way.
So I ended up doing a both barrels fire shot, which he shield guarded, and here, me stupidly, I assumed they're in a triangle, so I didn't even look. But they're not, so he's only armor 18, so I roll it at dice -2 and kill.
Yep.
So now I've procced Righteous Fury and Righteous Vengeance. I should have just literally did Sniper to do 1 damage.
Yeah, just to do 1 damage to the 5-box dude.
Because like my whole plan revolved around not giving him the 3-inch move.
Yep, because I'm behind that obstruction, so I went here to protect myself, but the shield guards were there to make sure that something like this happened, so you got trapped.
You baited me, son. So their daughter just ends up running to in front of the Judicator, because this is my plan now. I'm like, he can Dispel, but now he's not going to be able to Thresher.
Yeah, no matter what, I'm going to be in a not great place with this.
So I put a few back, so I have a triangle there with 2 daughters and the Tinkerer. I got a daughter, 2 daughters you can't see on the right side of the Judicator, or up on his left side, because I ran 1 back to engage the choir. There's 2 in front of it and 1 on the side, so like he's got a good Thresher bubble, but if he goes up and Threshers, he's going to be blocking the charge lane, which is my whole goal here. So you can clear off one of the lanes, but you can't clear off all of them.
Yep, I can't. There was a slight flash where I thought maybe I would trample over them just to get him somewhere, but the way you've got these back ones positioned, it's just the Blockader's kind of going to get into a position where it's not beneficial.
Yep, and I realized if I walked and sprayed that dude, that I would be within the reach.
Yep, you'd be in range then.
Yep, so there I end up just running. And then like I'm back a little bit. That way even I didn't measure it. I eyeballed it to see if I didn't think you could fit a huge base in there and get melee range to me. Especially if the Archon went up and Threshered.
Yeah, he'd have to go up there and do work to get that done.
And there my sweet choir are doing their shielding action again. We're going to have like 6 turns of shield versus shield.
Basically, yeah. And you can't, because like my shooting gets too powerful for you and your shooting gets pretty powerful for me. It's not like your sprays are going to 1-round me, but like I think I can shave off at least 2 columns with my shots against you.
And if you come up and shoot me, I can fail-safe my Colossal and spray you. And if I roll 6 sprays at dice -1,
yep, it'll hurt.
That like it adds up, especially because like if your Archon is too close to your Judicator, you'll feel the flames from me.
I've been in that boat before. Watched my Judicator go down because of my own Feel the Flames.
So Malvin and Mayhem do the +2 armor ability and walk up. And Gorman is also contesting that flag, so I'm also giving him the option of he can get an Archon on Malvin to strip, failsafe, but if he does, then he's not clearing the zones.
Yeah. All right, so now I get to talk about not conversion policies and the community's reactions to them.
Now I want to go back to that.
Yeah, that'll be every turn. You don't get to learn how to play Warriors of the Old Faith here. You just get to learn about the saltiness of the conversion world of Warmachine. So I'm kind of up against the wall here. Like my Judicator is kind of like a little bit on the ineffectual side, because I right now is where I'd be like, I can do all sorts of things and unpack into them. I usually like to leverage the speed on my list in order to put some pressure on my opponent. But for one of the first few times my opponent's 120 threatens the same as mine, so and they can shut off my shooting. So things are not looking good over there. I figure that the best thing. I think we have to back up just a little bit, because I think this was the turn where I skipped kind of recording the early parts of it.
Yeah, because we had to go, like, we brought in and helped some grocery pull-ins.
Yeah, so the things that had been missed was that Vlad put up a dash and knocked down a couple daughters, and then moved back to get out of Malvin and Mayhem's trample range, because if they go with flight or if they press the button, they can trample over the stupid forest and start punching him. So I get outside of threat of that, but inside the kill box.
Yep, just barely.
And I think from there, nothing else really happened.
No, that was pretty much it.
Yep. So the Ulans, the Ulans are charging into the Menite Archon up top to... Vlad also feeded this turn because I want to make sure I got a landing space for the Archon, which I probably didn't need so much, but it was good for him. So the Menite Archon on top, I just charge it and I knock it down. Or not knock it down because it can't be knocked down, but I knock it down to 1 box, essentially. And then this other Ulan that's behind...
No, you knocked it down to 4.
Yeah, well, there were not many boxes because, one Ulan craps the bed real hard.
Yeah. No, that's the charge.
That's the charge that I thought I missed and then realized Hand of Fate. Yep. Or no, that was the impact attack.
Yep.
So this is the unfortunate thing with the way the gun mages were sitting over there. I couldn't draw a line of sight to the one that I wanted to charge and back, so I ended up having to impact attack the front one, and then just made the mistake of not realizing that I couldn't redirect my charge attack to that guy. Like it counts as not a charge attack. So,
so Lance screws you on
the
there.
Lance got me, like it always does, like it always shouldn't, because Lance shouldn't exist. It's a stupid rule.
It is a stupid rule, and he was just out of the 1-inch.
Yep, so I couldn't get him with the pommel strike. So now we're going with the charges on the Menite Archon, and I think that one there missed.
No, you hit. You just rolled atrocious.
Oh, yeah. So
there's the good one.
Yep. And we end up leaving it pretty low on health. So my goal is to just get one of his Menite Archons down so that I don't have to worry about the Thorn Gun Mages doing stuff. The real goal up here was to clear the zone so I could score a point on it, because I won't get one from my flag, and I really don't think I can contest his flag without giving up something really important. So the best thing for me to do was to try and gain points up here, and with that Thorn Gun Mage hanging around, that's very unlikely to happen.
I didn't know if the Archon had distance to walk and Thresher, but then, I think you were worried you were going to need both attacks into my Archon, because Righteous Fury was procced, so he's armed 21.
Yeah.
So even a dice -4 Signs and Portents, if that axe screws, the flail would be -2.
Yeah, because I had charged him, and that's why I was facing the way I was here, but... well, no, I needed the other tech to kill that Thorn Gun Mage that was behind him. That's where the whole thing went to crap.
I didn't know if you could fly over and get all 3 of them with the Thresher. But
yeah,
that's a POW 15, so you'd have been dice off 6 on my Archon.
Yeah, that's a little dicey.
And so, I think you went for the safe bet of killing my Archon. That way we don't just trade Archons.
If I had him on 1 box, I'd be a little bit more comfortable with that, and then it wouldn't be so harsh. But right now, this is just the world that I have to live in, so not much I can do about it. So that zone I think I'm kind of set up to where it will eventually be mine based on what could come over there. But for right now, it's all that work for nothing.
Yep. I still have Anastasia in ambush. She hasn't come in yet, but she's not going to kill Ulan.
Yeah, there's not a bunch for her to go after, and it just depends on how my support goes in the back. I think that's where she might get some value. But I think now I'm kind of thinking about what I need to do on the bottom side of the screen, because I've got a lot... there's a lot that I want to do, but a lot that I can't do over here. So it's really the Judicator and figuring out what he wants to do. Does he want to just trample over these things and just start punching on stuff and just die to the Judicator or the Blockader next turn? Or do I back up and find some other punching to do? It's just there's a really long list of decisions to be made here, and I really just didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah, I gave you a lot of questions to ask her, and you have a lot of tools with the Archons into MacBain, but it's leveraging what you need to do. And the big problem is Vlad had to repo the opposite way to get away from Malvin and Mayhem.
Yep.
So you can't really move the Judicator that far over.
Yeah, it's the problem, right? Because either I get in threat of Malvin or I get in threat of a Blockader that can run and start jackhammering me.
Yep, because MacBain has jackhammers, so I can charge 8, threaten 12, or I can run 10 and then jackhammer him in the butt to also threaten 12.
Yep.
So he only goes down the 2-inch melee out of activation.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for me. So the Vengers end up going into this Archon. I figure if I can knock things down to 1 box, then that's fine by me. That way things get a little bit easier. There's a chance that this is where the option still exists in my head that I just end up saying screw the daughters, we're just gonna fly the Archon over them and charge your Archon and just get it off the table so I don't have to deal with it. But I think that ends up being not the greatest idea in the universe. So
that's where I pointed out that I was outside 12.
Yeah,
because you thought you threatened 13.
Oh yeah, that's the weird thing with Warriors of the Old Faith. There's so many strange threat ranges with things, or it's so altered because they're also high numbers, so it's difficult to keep track of all of them.
And there's where one of the Vengers missed his charge attacks.
Yeah.
He rolled a 6.
It was not good.
Yep.
So I think that Archon gets, it
He's on
survives
8
on like,
boxes.
8 boxes or something.
He did
It's still
7
pretty
on the
hard.
charge.
Yep. So he's just going to exist there, and that's whatever.
I mean, he was feeded on, so you can't really kill him anyway. That was my one saving grace, because I kept him out of Archon threat, and luckily on that side there was no way I could proc Righteous Fear
Yep.
or Righteous Vengeance.
So I think I'm still kind of hemming and hawing about what to do with this Judicator. I think I'm considering like backing him up and just lobbing some AoEs to see if I get lucky. But there's not a whole lot that I can go into that's going to be the most beneficial in the universe.
Yep, and then I think that's where I point out there's a cloud in front of you, because you took Eilish Sight.
I did, and I put that on the Archon this turn.
Just so he could move up and maybe clear a lane if he needed to charge.
Yep, but then so it's just like watching my heavily invested Judicator, because it's not just enough to put the Judicator down. I'm also bringing 2 Vassal, which are requisitions, but whatever, it's still points in quotes. And then I have a min unit acquire, like that all is the Judicator package. So watching him sit here and do nothing is really just kind of like stressing my ability to figure out what to do with him this turn.
Yeah, normally you put Judicator on the table, double Hand of Fate, he kills everything.
Yeah, he's easy to work with. I mean, you put anything in front of him and it dies, but countermeasures is really giving me a hard time here. So I think the option that I end up going with is that I need to stay out of the Blockader's range, because I can't just give you my Judicator for whatever I decide to take off the table. And I think
This is where you're measuring
this is where
Archon
the
threat.
Archon is where I need to figure, because if I get countermeasures off of the Daughter's unit, it means I can start shooting them where I'm at, and that's a decent proposal. But yeah, this thinking process is just taking forever.
I mean, I gave you a lot of things to think about this turn, and that was like my main goal, because normally you have the tools to deal with MacBain's feat, but I tried to present so many options that it was going to take you a while to unpack what to do.
Yep.
Because if I just ran like one Daughter in front of you and then like you thresh or kill it, then I lose my Blockader.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I had to like jam all around on that side, because there's 2 engaged on the Menite Archon, but you knocked him down with Vlad, because Vlad just punched him in the butt.
Yeah, Vlad just came around and started beating him up. So here goes the Menite. Finally, I have crapped and got off the pot. The Menite Archon flies in front of the Judicator, and the only thing I can really do here is like I can punch these Daughters to kind of free. Not that I need to free up the Judicator, but I need to get countermeasures off, which I do. I do the Grievous first to kill one, but now I can't do the Thresher, so I have, because I want to get countermeasures off, right?
Yep.
So the Dispel Sword goes in, and
It auto hit a knockdown guy that Vlad knocked down, and then you Grievous
Oh,
one
yeah,
the
yeah,
ones
yeah.
in the zone.
I flipped the attacks in my head.
Yep.
So now we have no more countermeasures, and the support's going to move over. I think the Vassals are going to empower, and the one Vassal moves a little bit further than what he should have, but now I'm just checking the choir to see how far they have to be. So I get them engaged with some other Daughters, but they're knocked down, and I'm not too worried about it here. So we go ahead and shield the Judicator, because I don't need battle this turn. So I move out of the Blockader's threat range, and I'm going to start peppering Daughters. So like the thing about, I know it might seem like it's not the greatest idea, but they'll be knocked down, they'll be on fire, and that means that they're more likely to just die on Ethan's turn, and I don't have to worry about it. It means that I'm actually getting some kind of value out of the shots that I'm taking. So I'm able to clip 2 Daughters here and miss everything of my own. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing next here. But the other Daughter that's engaged with my choir, that's the only thing that I hit with that spray, is the Daughter and the choir guy.
You missed your choir.
I did miss the choir.
And
I
a
needed a 7 to hit him, and I rolled that 6 after Hand of Fate. So he was missed, and the other Daughters got set on fire. So now I'm lobbing the AoEs out, and I'm going for these Thorn Gun Mages, because one of them I think has feet now, and
Yep.
one doesn't.
The one that's in the zone has feet.
So we get the AoE to connect, and that knocks down the one Thorn Gun Mage, and I just decide to boost the damage roll on the other one just to make sure I get it, because I can actually kill it, and it does. And now we're going to knock over that Thamorite Archon like 500 times while we deviate this AoE.
His fucking wings are so big.
I know, and he's a little like weird balanced. So
he's so back heavy.
The drift goes in a direction that I like, but it's unfortunate that it goes just an inch too far, and I don't get to clip the Archon and do damage for free.
Yep.
But the other AoE doesn't really have a good target because of how I position myself for those sprays. And that's it.
So it's going in the top of 3. I was able to score my flag because he didn't have any throwaway models to just come and contest.
This list just doesn't have throwaway pieces. It's one of the hardest parts about it.
No, the only thing he could have maybe thrown away were the Vengers by just running them, but then like they don't do anything and you don't get any damage on my Archon, so I just have a full health Archon just following your Judicator around.
Yep, and I can't have that either.
No. So Malvin and Mayhem load up to 3 automatically, and the cute thing here with failsafe is like they will always get 3 focus.
Yeah.
So like failsafe is real nice on them, and when they do their +2 armor buff, they become armor 22.
Mortneber cries herself to sleep.
I know. Unlike the Skulls of Hate of Deathjack, it actually works.
Yep. Some noodle with a wrench is somehow much more talented than the Master Necrotech, Mortnebra.
Yep. Anastasia goes on the bottom. There we just measured to make sure she could get to the Vassal. And then I'm debating what upkeeps to put out, because right now failsafe is on Malvin and Mayhem, but I want to try and get in on that Archon. It's behind me, so I'd have to walk, but I walk 7 inches thanks to being Malvin and Mayhem, because I'm going to hit the button this turn. And then there, I'm measuring command, because I promoted, a couple of the daughters died the fire check, so I had to promote the leader to a knockdown one, so that means she can't move, because she has to sack her action from being promoted mid-turn, and she can't walk because she's knocked down. So that means those 2 bottom daughters are out of formation. And then there I'm measuring my 7-inch walk and 1-inch melee. And it's just out. Because I don't want to hit an Ulan first and killing spree into you and give you +2 armor.
Yep. But it looks like after kind of stacking it up, it kind of looks like you have to do that.
Yep.
So it'll make the Archon just a little bit more difficult to kill, but with the Choir and Malvin pushing the button, it's really not too horrible.
Yeah, Choir on Malvin and Mayhem is so good. Like, on paper, he's good, and I know people aren't giving him enough credit, but like when you combine friendly faction buffs, like in Llaelese Resistance, giving him Choir and any of the upkeeps is so freaking good. Like, failsafe on him is good, Fortune on him is good. And like being able to battle him for a POW 22 killing spree is just so legit. Yeah,
he comes at a pretty hefty cost for Warmachine, because I think that 1 point really matters when you're talking about little solos, because we can't get the Gobber, the chef.
No, because I had to take a Tinkerer because that's the only one in the theme.
Yep. But the thing is like Malvin and Mayhem for that points investment does a ton of work, especially when you combine him with a Warcaster that has an armor buff as well. Like, he just becomes very difficult to kill, and he's like a super avatar.
Yep. And there I'm deciding allocation, because my plan is to hot swap Fortune to Malvin and Mayhem to make sure that he doesn't miss or screw up his killing spree attacks, because I think it's going to take all my attacks to kill that Archon and the unit of Ulans. But I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do with the Blockader, and I got some cute tricks coming up. So I end up just upkeeping Fortune for free thanks to Sylys, dropping failsafe, and allocating nothing to the Blockader.
Yep, and I think over here where I was just like getting Anastasia on for you. So I was like, I'll just put her in the butt of the Vassal, but then I think we rolled that back a little bit to put her back on the edge of the table. Or either that or this is the actual charge.
Because I needed to do other activations first, and I didn't want to like screw up my timing. So she punches, she kills a Vassal, easy peasy.
Yeah, not a problem. Like I said, he should have been a little bit further back from the table edge. I shouldn't have just given you him for free.
Yep.
Especially since like I made the cognizant decision to keep Vlad out of control of the Judicator this turn because I had him powers.
And here's some cute jank. The Thorn Gun Mage walks. He was in the reorg of. He's not engaged by anybody. He walked out of 2 inches, so he's not on Ashen Veil range. He tried the Thunderbolt, the Archon, to push him into Melvin's threat, and I rolled a 4 twice in a row.
Yeah, it was not a good deal.
I needed an 8, even in the butt, because he's still 15 with concealment. But if I hit one of them, then he's pushed in the Melvin range.
Yep, and then you don't have to worry about killing an Ulan, which just makes it a little bit easier.
Yep.
Not that it's impossible, but just easier.
So Choir moving up. This will be the first turn of non-shielding for either of us.
Yep.
Well, it only took 3 turns.
We're getting some work done now.
So battle on both jacks. Let's see what I'm thinking here. And then the one that was knocked down, I was gonna have sack as movement, and the back one was gonna aim, and then I forgot we were playing this as Burning Earth, so it's a cloud.
Yeah, it's a cloud and a forest and on fire, so it's just weird.
I always forget Burning Earth is a cloud, so he has to walk up. He gets set on fire. The gun mage that was feated, his fire went out.
Yeah, unfortunately, it went out.
So he stands up, shoots in the combat, rolls snake eyes. They're both barrelings again to try and kill Avenger.
Yep, and the one that moved couldn't quite get there with the shot. He needed an 8 to hit, I think, or 7 or 9, and rolled an 8 or a 7.
One of them hit, and then I only did... Or no, I don't think either of them hit.
No, I think the one missed, or you did 1 damage to it to trick Battle Driven, but I can't remember.
I don't think either of them hurt you. Cause
12 up to 17, and you're at 7?
12 up to 16. So I needed
12
a 9.
up to 16. Sorry.
Yeah, they both missed.
Yeah, they both
if I had
missed.
aimed, I rolled a 7 with the back one.
Yep, and that would have hit, but then more likely than not, I just would have triggered Battle Driven. But not that the +2 armor matters much against what you've got.
And then there, a daughter is charging around the cloud thanks to acrobatics, and I got 2 of them on the Vassal.
Yep.
And then those back ones, they just have to run. So they're just running their 14 with acrobatics and parry to engage dudes. I know he has dash, but I want to force you to cast dash to try and get over to the Judicator.
Yeah, and the later the game goes, the less important dash is to me, or at least usually. But again, this is very not typical for Old Faithless to be so far back on the table.
Yep. So there I proc Righteous Fury, but I needed to get those daughters out of the way. So like that's just there's nothing I can do about that.
It just had to happen.
My Archon goes. He decides to Thresher, and I'm trying to do the math in my head because I proc Battle Driven. I don't have Righteous Fury on me, so I'm only POW 15. So it's like dice off 3.
Yeah, something like that. They're on 19, I think.
Yep, because I haven't procced I haven't procced Battle Driven yet.
Yep.
He misses one of them because he rolled a 5, dropped the lowest, and then he did 3 damage to the other one.
Yeah, so not the greatest showing for the Archon there. I guess they didn't want to beat down on their own Vengers.
And there I'm measuring some walk threats because I'm trying to get within 2 inches, even though he has 4-inch melee, because I'm going to do some jackhammer jank.
Yep.
So
Jankhammer.
So I end up needing to charge the back Venger because there's a gap in between my Archon and his Venger because I think we nudged him, but he backed up a little bit.
Yeah, and I was like, there's no reason that you would need to get in base to base, so just back him up a little.
So he's charging with his 4-inch melee into the back Venger, which gets him reach to the Archon and reach to the front Venger. And they're just confirming it.
Yep.
Because my plan is, with my 1 focus, to charge, hit the Venger, buy an attack on the Archon, and then try and jackhammer kill what I don't kill. And with battle, he's POW 24.
Yeah, so it's pretty harsh. If you connect with one, they just die.
It's so good. And then he buys an attack takes his right fist into the Archon in the butt, hits, and then a dice +4, I do 10.
Yeah, it was harsh.
Or no, I proc
it was
righteous
10.
dice +7.
So
Or dice +3.
I think he took 10, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I did 9 because your armor 21.
Yep.
So now MacBain is activating. He swaps Fortune, or he hasn't swapped it yet. I just put the battle token down. He walks to get within 6 of the Blockader and 6 of Melvin. So I jackhammer the Blockader to punch the Archon. Hits. Dice +4. Kills it. Or dice +3. I jackhammer it again. Hits. Kills. So now I'm sitting on 4. Now I cycle Fortune over the Malvin and Mayhem because that way I can get some sweet rerolls there, and I'm camping too, so I'm feeling okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to be. Like, you've kind of collapsed most of that zone, so the Judicator's still there, but he's not getting anything out of this, so...
No, without focus, I don't think he's going to be able to do enough work.
Yeah.
Because I could have put failsafe up, but I wanted to camp too in case he got cheeky and sprayed me, or...
Yeah, I think if MacBain goes to no camp, like, I will try my hardest to manufacture a way to get some damage on him, even though I think it's probably really difficult from where I'm at.
So Malvin and Mayhem go up, they hit the button, they walk up, they punch the front Ulan, which I believe... I think I flipped it back to me because I was thinking about just hermiting this, and I said, no, I don't care. No, because you were saving it for the Archon, who's just within 6. So there, I killing spree forward. I punched with my POW 15 up to POW 19 fist from the +2 strength in battle. So I take the Warhead attack into the Archon.
That one gets hermited. And now we're going with the actual Dream Crusher.
Since now I killing spreed into it, I can actually take my initial Dream Crusher, because you can killing spree between weapons. I miss, but Fortune hits.
Yep, the Fortune being there really bummed me out.
Yeah, Fortune is like a saving grace. Hits, doesn't. Yep,
that one takes him off. He didn't, even with Righteous Fury procced on him. He wasn't surviving that.
I was dice +1.
Yep.
So now I just need 5s to hit Ulans, and I'm dice +3.
I think so, yeah, because in base to base they go up to 19.
Yep, and I'm POW 22.
Yep, so
I'm just tiptoeing through the Ulans, because POW 22 killing spree murders medium based and large base dudes. There I'm deciding boosts, because the whatever they're called.
The
Initiates.
Oh, the Initiates. Yeah, they're 13, so you just need a little bit better to hit them.
And I'm swinging over the wall, or the obstruction, so they're 15, so I just boost.
Yep.
And then I boost again with my killing spree, and I kill them both. And then I'm killing spree backwards, just to hide behind the obstruction. Because Malvin and Mayhem just killed, 25 points worth of models there?
Yeah, it's pretty harsh. Killing spree plus the choir really, really hurt.
Yep.
So that was a pretty harsh turn for me. I think I just kind of got lost in trying to keep a few pieces safe that I wasn't thinking about the other options that I was opening up the rest of my army to. So losing all the Vengers, I kind of realized that was going to happen. Losing as many Ulans as I did was not something that I had really contemplated when it was there. If I had maybe blocked off the Archon a little bit better, then it would force Malvin to have to go through all of them to get to the Archon, and then maybe with the Hermit he lives.
But it's at that point it's still the same, because if he hits an Ulan, he auto kills it.
Yeah.
At dice +3.
It's still I feel like with more chances to miss, maybe, who knows.
I don't know, Fortune 5s are...
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
So
good.
So now I just need to try and figure out what to do with myself. I keep Hand of Fate on the 2 Ulans that I've got over there, because I at least can use that to get rid of the gun mage that's up top there. And I do keep Infernal Machine on the Judicator, because at least I can get a free charge out of it, and that's, worth something to me. The choir is just going to do what it is going to do anyways. I think I might try to unpack them to do something cool, but for the most part they're just going to be walking over to battle the Judicator to get some extra damage out there. I figure at the very least I can kill the Archon and then put some damage on the Blockader, but I think over here I'm taking some swings with some of the choir. They're very unlikely to hit. They need 10s to connect with the daughters, but every attack you don't take is basically a miss. So they've got the ability to do it, so I go through and take some punches, but they don't quite make it through.
Nah, Def 14's pretty good.
Yep, but they did roll 8s and 9s, so they were close to hitting.
They were
for what
trying
it's worth.
their best.
Yep, they did
just
try
their best
real hard.
isn't good enough.
Nope, not for them. So now I'm just seeing what I think here I might have contemplated maybe keeping Infernal Machine on was a bad idea, because I think I I don't quite have the distance to walk over there, and I first choose like, oh, I'll just charge the Archon, because in my head it's just like it hasn't died, so I wanted to get a big attack on him, and then realize that going after the Blockader is just the better option, especially with no Hermit there to stop it. So I connect pretty easily, and I'm dice +3 on this or something like that.
You do 20 damage.
Yeah, 20 damage in one shot.
You 1/3 health him with the charge.
That's what happens when you got Khador and Judicators. They just do work. So tons of work on that. I have one initial left, and part of me was thinking about getting greedy and going after the Blockader again, but I really need to get this Archon gone, so I just take the hit into that. A little dicey with Signs Important 7, but I hit and just evaporate.
Oh, you should have had Murderous too, because
yeah.
So you super hit.
But he isn't living, is he?
Murderous doesn't care about living. I thought it was just warrior
Maybe
model.
it is just warrior model. I thought it was living too. But
I
it probably is. It probably is warrior model. So I think Vilmon goes up and destroys Gorman, and then he backs up to the flag to score it, kills Gorman, and then the Hermit goes up and puts up Whispers at the Gate. I think is the ability where you drop 2 armor.
Yep.
So that way I can knock down some of the armor on Malvin to make things a little bit easier, and the Ulans now are charging in on the Gun Mage, and this is probably another mismanagement of resources because I hit you easy without even having to take the Hand of Fate shot, so it probably was better for me to just not keep Hand of Fate on them also, but I wanted to get the value out of them and not miss that Gun Mage, because I kind of have a plan for this top zone, and it's not the greatest one because it involves Vlad charging Malvin and Mayhem, who hasn't been touched.
Yep.
But
no failsafe.
Yep, no failsafe. Well, I mean, kind of no failsafe. So the thing about Vlad 3 that you've got to realize is that he can put combat damage out, but he's not the greatest at it. Like, he only gets brutal charge with his spear, and then his other weapon is only 1-inch melee at POW 13. So like, he's not like butcher levels of good. And my initial hit here, I felt I missed, but then what I realized is like, oh wait, no, I had Hand of Fate on me, so let's reset these dice and then roll the other die. And I barely hit you. But the charge attack's important because it's POW 14, and he just cranks the damage real hard.
Yep, at dice -6, like he took out...
Well, it was dice -4, but I forgot about brutal charge that we fixed at the end of the activation. But he did a ton of damage on that first one, and then he does it again on the next attack. Like, he's just putting work into Malvin and Mayhem, but it's not quite enough. With the last attack, I think I don't do quite enough to get there. I still blow up the damage roll, like,
yep,
easy peasy blow it up. He's got 3 boxes left, but then we realize it's down to 2 boxes, or 1 box because of brutal charge. So this is where keeping up those spells kind of hurt me, or at least keeping up Hand of Fate hurt me, because if I drop that upkeep, then Vlad has 1 more attack that he can take into Malvin and Mayhem, and that probably drops him.
At dice -6 with Signs Importance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or if I had dash up, I could get the mount attack maybe.
No, remember you were outside of an inch.
We were outside of the 1 inch to get in base to base.
So if you had dashed, you would have got the 1-inch melee. And the big thing is Malvin and Mayhem's 1 box is in his cortex. He's getting 3 focus. Oh god, I love Malvin and Mayhem.
Yeah, Vlad, that was his time to shine, and he did work. Like, he did 30.
He did
30
29 damage.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
At dice -6.
Yep, he was wanting that game real hard, but came up short, unfortunately, because of my mismanagement of my upkeeps.
And I when you charged in Vlad, I even asked, like, are you sure you want to do that? 'Cause, like, I was like,
yep, I'm doing it.
Like, I think I just kill Vlad if you charge, and then like, you did 29 damage with a POW 13 stick. Like, yep. I was not expecting that.
The fateful hand was on his shoulder.
Or dice -5, not dice -6.
Yeah, it was dice -6. I'm POW 12. You're 18.
Oh, POW 12. Yep, because the other weapon, the
good weapon in quotes is power 13.
Yeah. There, I'm measuring if Eilish, because he does not have Pathfinder. He was chilling in the Rebel. If he can walk out of the Rebel, walk and then port into the zone, just for extra contest, because like, Melvin's going down. He's going down hard, and I'm actually thinking about taking him out of the zone.
Yeah, it was really important for me to score this zone.
So Malvin gets his 3 focus.
Yep, gets his 3 focus, whatever. This is just 1 column is all I needed to shift, and then this wouldn't be a problem. But
and then I allocate nothing, or no, I give 2 to the Blockader because like it's a wash. Either he buys attacks or I jackhammer him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you don't really need to stack him up all that much when you've got jackhammers all over.
No, it's just the jackhammers are only 2-inch melee, so I wanted to take 4-inch attacks if I needed them.
Yeah, you don't need them over here. We're touching faces now.
Yep. And there the daughters are just walking with acrobatics and parry to the butt of Choir just to stab them. Because with anatomical precision, if they hit, they kill.
Yep.
I miss 1. And then the rest of them proceed just to murder poor Choir members.
Yeah, there's not much to write about on these guys. The Choir don't have the defensive stats to stand up to it, and I'm just going to conga line the leader down all the way in hopes that I get to keep 1. But it doesn't work, and the daughters just kind of blast through the support.
And that's what daughters do.
Yep.
And like feet helps them get there. And then there I'm measuring Choir range. I can get a Choir member onto Malvin and Mayhem.
I think you think you can get 1 on there because you've got the distance, but if you want to get the Blockader and Malvin and Mayhem, you're out of command with 1 of them.
The leader physically couldn't walk far enough to get that one in range.
Because no Pathfinder for you.
So Malvin and Mayhem, no battle.
Yep, but the Blockader gets it, which is probably the more important place to put it.
Yep. Eilish goes up. Puppet Masters Malvin and Mayhem just because they're in range so he can do the port.
Yep.
Ports into the zone. Boop.
Yep, and that makes things really unfortunate for me.
Because Malvin's arms are crippled, but my plan is like, there's no way I can kill Vlad, but I can kill a Hermit on a flag. I just need 4s with rerolls.
Easy peasy with fortune. I mean, it's a coin flip every time, but it's
like
worth it.
It's like a 75% chance to hit with the reroll.
Yeah.
And this is where the one-time Warhead comes up, so I hit with the 4, and then there I'm checking Warhead. I can't crit knock him down, but every model in the AoE is hit, including the model you do hit. So here I'm effectively doing 2 damage a turn, or 2 damage per attack.
Yeah, it kind of gets around the Hermit's innate protections. Because I was hoping that I could suck some activations out of him just so I didn't lose everything on the flag, but losing the Hermit becomes a lot more of a not a guarantee so much, but it's much more reliable.
Mm-hmm. So then I take the fist into him, hits, and I start buying attacks. I hit, auto point him with the attack, auto point him with the -2 armor buff.
Yep, and then Vilmon isn't taking a ton of damage over here. He's pretty beefy. He doesn't have Stone and Mortar up, but he's still not taking a ton of damage off of a 1-die Warhead.
And then there I rerolled and hit with the 6 I need.
Yep.
But my weapon's out, so it does like... And there I realized like I'm running down like the 3 minutes, so I stopped doing Warhead attacks.
Yeah.
And then there Blockader walks to get his 4-inch melee on the objective and stay in 2 inches of the Judicator.
Yep.
So I auto-hit the objective at dice +5.
Yeah, so he crushes it down to like 3 boxes left or something.
Mm-hmm. Left side into the Judicator, rolls a 4 at dice +5.
Yep, not a lot of damage there at all.
No. I buy an attack into the objective, auto-hit it, kill it, buy an attack into the Judicator, roll a 4 for damage. So, like, I'm not doing well. There I finally roll a 7, so that takes out one side. But now I'm out of focus.
Yep, it exactly took 1. I liked how you were like, oh, I'll give you another comm for the other side, and I'm like, don't need it, scrub.
And then there MacBain walks up to the flag and starts jackhammering away. Hits, and then I roll a 4 for damage.
Yep.
So
I was kind of hoping that with the jackhammers I might be able to make this based on your luck with your dice, because there was like double 1s.
And then there was like...
It was,
there I finally rolled decent.
Yeah. I mean, you end up zapping down the Judicator with down to 1 box at least, and then the other jackhammer hits. So no Judicator anymore, and then your 1 minor gun mage scores that zone, and that puts you up to 6.
Yep. If I had left you on 1 box, I was gonna sniper you.
Yeah.
Just so like I can use sniper.
Just for cool points.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't even realize I went to 6. I was just trying to score as much points because I was low on clock.
Yep, it was that gun mage that got me in that top zone.
Yep.
If he goes down, then I don't lose this turn.
You don't lose this turn, but I think you eventually lose.
Yeah, I'm just attrition down to not a whole lot. So the best option is like, can I try and get MacBain somehow? But there's no way with where he's at and where all my other pieces are at. So
he's
it's
behind a wall on 2 camp.
It's really just a foregone conclusion there.
Because like you can maybe, I don't even know if the Ulans could get down to contest my zone.
I don't know. They're way on the other side of the table.
With dash, they run like 20 inches.
Yeah, I don't think
they can
make
contest my flag, but I don't think they could contest my zone. Then you score your zone, you clear your flag,
and then I just die. So it's just one of those. It was a hard game. Like shutting down the Judicator in almost every way was really not a good deal for this list.
Mm-hmm. And you had the tools to counter my feat, but then like if you were threshering, you're not countering countermeasures.
Yep, no matter what, I'm going to get boned somehow, and it was just unfortunate that it happened with old Judy.
Because on paper, Menite Archons are real ball busting for MacBain, because like Grievous Wounds just shuts down his whole feat.
Yep.
But like I was able just to layer enough dudes, that's why I was like, this is playable. And then like I was able to jam up the lane, so now my Colossal's getting into yours first, or if you're getting into me, you're not getting there with focus.
Exactly. Well, I hope you enjoyed that game. If you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and post them in the area below. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next video.
Or I want to do a quick rant about Malvin and
Mayhem. You need to do your quick rant, even after my outro.
I know. We'll do it again, because he's so good. Like, the Merc page, like, I was just reading the thread the other day of how they're like, he's okay on paper for 17 points, but then it's like, none of the casters really support it. And I'm like, yeah, he's 17 points, but, like, that's 3 free focus a turn that every focus 6 caster in the faction doesn't need to allocate to. Like, that's real good. And I'd say 70% of the casters in Merc have buffs for him that turn him up to like 13, because he's normally like an 11.
Yeah, and it's because like the normal mercenary warjacks are so like low output in general. I mean, like, yeah, the Toro's cool and the Nomad's all right, but like they're still Mat 6 jacks that you have to fuel not only to buff but also to do things. Like the Empower isn't something that's omnipresent in the faction. Like you can get it in some places, but for the most part, like Malvin and Mayhem, and you've got Sylys in here too. That means that there's zero investment from focus that MacBain needs to put in order to keep things going on him. And I think that Malvin and Mayhem is great on paper and great on the table. You just have to mitigate the points cost.
It's when you get those friendly faction buffs, because like if you think of him like, and like if you take him in another faction where you can't buff him, then yeah, he's 17 points of ass kicking, and then he goes down. But like every Merc caster, I'm not going to list through, because like there's so like most feats do him work. Most casters have buffs that do him work on top of the free 3 focus.
Yeah, even someone like Fiona can give the Curse of Not Shadows, and the feat will keep him around. Like there's just a lot of good.
The feat, Befuddle for 3-inch range.
Yep.
And everyone forgets he has Roadblock. Like that's Fiona's personal escort up the board for free cover every turn.
And
as
if
a
anyone
second
gets close to her, he just unpacks and destroys them. Yeah. Malvin and Mayhem, when he first came out, I think people lost their minds over him, and now that he's out, I think people are trying to be a little bit more realistic. But I do think Malvin and Mayhem is like, they're really high up there on the effectiveness ladder.
They make every War Beast look like crap.
Yeah,
like,
I would honestly say that's
when I
for
compare
sure.
a 17-point Warpwolf Stalker to Malvin and Mayhem, like it's just, it makes me feel sad.
Yep, I don't disagree.
And that's not even getting in, like, I can't wait to put him in a minions list. You know what Rask loves?
Elasticity and Fury and...
Yeah, like with Jaga, with a Signs Importance, Mat 7 killing spree dude with Reach, like...
He'll just mow through whatever you've got. Even if it's like heavy-based infantry.
Yeah, like at POW 20 with his inbuilt buff, so he doesn't need Rage, because he's equal to a Raged Heavy in minions.
Yep.
You give him Reach. You know what kills Flames infantry? A Mat 7 PS 20 killing spree with Reach, like with 3 focus. So like if he misses, ooh, I buy.
Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks that he's a little too much for the game, but time will tell.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like I think he's fine in other factions that can't buff him, but then like if you take him in Flames, he becomes a Signar model.
Yeah.
So now Striker 1's feet affects him.
Positive charge there too.
Yep, and Fortune affects him from Connie. Jake's feats affects him, so he gets Reach. You can Arcane Shield him with Striker 1. Like, Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't think you kill a Malvin and Mayhem with Striker.
No, like he almost replaces the Colossal.
Just about, yeah. Those slam guns are nice though.
The slam guns are nice.